TC says the biggest mistake you make in business is marketing to people who can't pay you. Greg says looking for scripts and rebuttals for local SEO optimization services. We got Brad who says, have you had success in driving business to your marketing agency with Facebook ads? My niche is home service. We on yet? Let's see. Did it work? Did it work? It worked. Success. Sometimes success is in our world. You know, it's funny. I feel like 50% of our job is just Googling why the technology isn't doing what it's supposed to. So whenever the tech works correctly, I feel like that's a win. That should be celebrated. Anyways, welcome back, guys. Really appreciate you guys just building cool agencies, building cool lives, up to cool things, making cool things happen, and just being cool-ass motherfuckers in general. As I typically do, I got a quick little announcement. For those of you guys who are interested in the Wolfpack, I've kind of laid out everything step by step so that I believe that we have the most energetic, efficient acquisition model in existence, which really is about instead of like either cold messaging a bazillion people or split testing thousands of ads or sometimes hundreds of ads is probably more accurate for most of you guys, and then trying to get that to work and having it fall off a cliff and having to constantly manage it. We just send 1 to 5 messages a week. We find people who already got the big audiences in the space. We co-create cool, valuable stuff for their audience. And then what happens is those recordings turn into ads. Those turn into nurture sequences. So you're actually killing 3 birds with 1 stone. And of course, they directly convert to clients. Like if you do a big presentation for somebody in your space who has an audience, like whether that's a podcast or a stage speech or an interview you guys did or whatever, like people are going to come to you and buy your shit. And in our world, where most of you guys got a $1,000 to $10,000 a month thing, you don't need very many of those people to move the needle. What's up, Scott? I just saw some of your mortgage wins this morning, dude. That's fucking badass. Dude, I love what you guys are doing with YouTube, and it's just different than what everybody else is doing, which, gives me a little tickle in my pickle. Now you guys are going to be thinking about my pickle. All right. So anyways, those of you guys who are interested in the Wolfpack and all the leverage that provides, you can go to beyondagencyprofits.com/Wolfpack. There is a link for that. I'll make sure to include a link for you below. And that's that. So anyways, let's get into good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. Too much wrestling I watched as a kid. You know what's funny? I actually don't like wrestling anymore. But like the old school, the Macho Man and Randy Savage, ooh yeah, and Hulk Hogan, and then the Attitude Era, The Rock and Stone Cold, give me a hell yeah, like that stuff. I love it, but the new stuff just doesn't do it for me. Anyways, let's talk questions. And some of these were just where's the muscles today, Steven? You missed it, man. Look at that. Like, just try and act not impressed. You can't do it. TC says the biggest mistake you make in business is marketing to people who can't pay you. This is certainly a common mistake, and there's a reason I wrapped on this, and I actually want to clarify a little bit. So I have a concept. It's actually a Dan Kennedy concept, but everybody gives me credit for it, which is kind of cool, because Dan Kennedy's a fucking legend. But it's originally a Dan Kennedy thing, and he said, if you sell shoes, your first instinct will be to try and sell to people who are barefoot, because it makes logical sense that they would need shoes. But instead, you actually want to sell to somebody who has 200 pairs of shoes in the closet, and that there's always a reason why they need another pair of shoes. Maybe they don't yet have hiking shoes, or they don't have tennis shoes, or they need something to match this outfit, or like, hey, they just want a fucking new pair, right? So if you take this to marketing services, is what most people think is that I'll sell marketing services to struggling companies who need marketing. In other words, are barefoot. And what you actually want to do is sell to people who already buy 20 marketing. You're like the 21st contractor they're hiring. And I say that because like a lot of people get hung up in this. is what they think this means is that there are good and bad niches. Like, don't pick this niche because they're not buyers or whatever. And what I hope to really impress upon people instead is the idea that within every niche, there's a spectrum of buyers and non-buyers, right? So I'll give you an example of a niche that a lot of people have come to me and have said is a bad niche, and it's not, by the way, is real estate agents. And it's because like 90 to 95% of real estate agents are broke and struggling, and many of them won't be real estate agents in 2 to 3 years because it's a low barrier to entry. And there's nothing against those people. Like hope they succeed and stuff. They just don't make good agency partners. But having said that, if there's a person in your town, for example, and they're everywhere and they have 30 agents under them and they have billboards and they spend a bunch of money on Instagram and all that, like that actually makes for a really good client across the board. So it's not about necessarily like finding some secret perfect niche. It's about identifying the spectrum within it and aiming for the people who spend all the fucking money, right? Like I used to see this in the legal space. There's one lawyer who outspends like 175 other lawyers combined. Like you want to work with that person, not with the other 174 who can't afford you and have no money to pay you and don't even believe in it, because this is the thing everybody misses. If you try and sell shoes to barefoot people, you have 2 sales to make. You should buy shoes. You should buy my shoes. And it's the first sale that you should buy shoes. You're trying to convince them what is against their behavior, spending money, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you guys a real story of the power of this. So this whole agency mentorship actually started for me, I want to say like 6-7 years ago, something like that. I was having a lot of success with webinars. We were doing like anywhere from 10 to 50K a month in new business with webinars, and we were just running the same webinar over and over and over. So it was like relatively automated and hands off. And what ended up happening is I had a lot of friends who asked me how to do this. And so I ended up putting on a live event to sell this. And I made a list of like, I don't know, 20, 30 people that I thought would be a really good fit, people that like kind of had asked me about this. And I asked one of my friends who's maybe even be listening, Chris Amaro. And I remember calling up Chris and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about putting on this event where I'm going to show you guys my webinar system, kind of blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I've got it templated so like anybody can do this. We can plug and play it and put this in your business. And I remember it was the shortest sales call I had ever had in my life at that point, because I told Chris like, hey, like, to be honest with you, I'm thinking of selling you this event. He's like, what's up, man? I'm like, thinking of selling you this event. And he was like, how much is it? And I told him the price. And he said, when is it? And I told him the dates. And he said, what are we going to get done? And I said, we're going to build this webinar thing. And he paused for a second. He's like, can I split it into 2 payments? Because that would just be more convenient for me right now. I said, sure. And that was it. And I was kind of amazed at how easy that was. And I remember thinking, well, maybe that's just because Chris and I are friends, right? We're just friends. Like, he just bought. But then I'm like, you know, like, I have lots of friends that I'm just not going to give like, you know, 5, 6, 10 grand to just because they're my friends, right? Like, you can be my friend, that doesn't mean you get 10 grand. And I realized it was very simple. I had met Chris at tons of events and he was used to buying things like that. He was a perennial shoe buyer, and like me, he'll probably buy those kind of things till the day he dies. He will continuously up level because he's just that kind of guy. And so he's a shoe buyer. He's got tons of shoes in his closet. And so when I offered him shoes, it was a very easy 3-minute decision for him. As where if you try and convince somebody who's never invested in that, then you have like a much bigger hurdle to go over. And so this is why I say everybody interprets that to mean pick the right niche, but it actually means identify the people within your niche that spend all the money, and then make your pitch to those people. And what you'll find, by the way, in most markets, 80% of people are non-buyers and they'll never buy from you. And so if you like just get quality data and eliminate those people and only focus on the 20% who do spend all the money, what will happen is your ads and your outreach will have no loss in output, because you'll still make the sales to the people who would have bought it anyway, but you'll spend way less money doing it and spend way less time because you're talking to people who have a proven history. So here's the secret. Like, just look. Are they spending money now? If you don't see a website, you don't see any ads they're running, you don't see any, like, Instagram they're posting, you don't see any YouTube or shit like that, they're probably not fucking spending money on it. So, like, don't try and convince them to do it. Sounds simple, but you'd be amazed at how often people violate this rule. So I hope that's helpful, my dude. And anyone else listening to this. Rowan says, I wish I had known this 9 years ago when first started my design career, but understanding what my client wants. Empathize is simply one of the most valuable skill sets I acquired. In my early days, I was so focused on creating beautiful designs, but overlooked one crucial aspect, understanding what my clients actually want. This is a deep concept here. So what you just brought up, Rowan, which is the idea that nobody who buys a website is actually in their mind buying a website from you. Nobody who buys SEO from you is buying SEO. Nobody who buys pay-per-click is buying SEO. They want the outcome of that thing, right? So like I mentioned this years ago, but we used to sell mommy makeover websites to plastic surgeons, and they fucking ate it up. And before that, I just sold websites. And websites, when I sold it a website as a website, just as the deliverable, they were very hard to sell. They would say, make me a proposal, call me back. There was a lot of chasing and following up. One day, a surgeon came to me and said, can you make me a mommy makeover website? And I said, yeah, it's no different than making any other website, as long as you got images and copy and whatever, like I can put that in there. And then he said, do you think you could rank me for mommy makeover stuff? I looked, it was very doable. And then he was like, okay, I'll pay for that. And that was it. There was no send me a proposal, let's talk about it, let's have 27 questions, all those kind of things. It was just straight to buying it. And a big part of that is the outcome, which in this case was the mommy makeover patient. But that outcome is what they're really after, not the site. And I say this because you can take the same person and you can struggle to sell a $2,500 website, and you can sell them something they'll just drop 10 grand for without batting an eye. And it's because it's tied to an outcome. So once you understand this, stop selling your shit as your shit and start figuring out what they're trying to do. So you mentioned in your case that you're trying to make beautiful designs, but if you understand what the client is really after, like usually just booking jobs or getting clients or patients in the door, and usually specific types of patients or clients or customers or whatever it is in your industry or jobs or whatever, and then just making the website be a sales machine for that. And what you'll find, websites are much easier to sell, SEO is much easier to sell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because it's not really the tool itself they're after. Every tool is used to provide an outcome. In the same way, you don't go buy a hammer because you just like the look and feel of a hammer. Like, you're going to build something. So find out what they're building. And what you'll find is if you're niche focused enough, pretty much everybody in your industry wants to build the same thing. Like if I talk to, 20 agency owners, we want to get to 20K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month. Like, you're not interested in the website for the website. You want it to get the income goals so you can have the lifestyle that comes with it. Hopefully, by the way, hopefully you don't build for yourselves a prison. That's a story for another day. But I say that because you want to get to the outcome. So sell outcomes is the point of this rant. Sell outcomes and stop selling your fucking thing as your thing. And I'll tell you, if I go to like 20 agency owner websites or marketing materials, they talk about the thing. We got websites, we got SEO, we got Facebook ads. Nobody's saying we're going to get you mommy makeover patients. Bada bing, bada boom, right? So you'll sell more shit if you focus on what they actually want. And the fact that it's pretty is really just an afterthought. This was good on our man Paul. I'm not sure if he's still here, but he was here a minute ago. Paul says, something for the weekly call today, Frankie Finn. I have a new restaurant client and created a good Facebook page. Within 2 days, I got 500 genuine followers from posting one competition in local groups. This makes me wonder if there are potential for charging on a pay per new follower. How much is each new follower and potential repeat customer worth to a business? Does anyone charge this way already? Yes, we have people charging for that on a licensing kind of thing. Having said that, what you're probably going to find is it depends who you're doing it for. This is a thing that not enough people think about. So one of my mentors describes this as, in the early stages of business, at least for me, I'm not saying this is true of you guys, but this was definitely true for me, is I always wanted to be the savior of business. Like, I don't know if you guys ever see those shows like Kitchen Nightmares or Bar Rescue and these kind of bits. And what happens is, like, either Gordon Ramsay or I forget the bar guy's name, but they go into a struggling restaurant or a bar and they fix it up and they make it over. And so they'll often change chefs, they'll change teams, they'll fix up the building, they'll change the menu, all of that, and hopefully make a new restaurant. And what blew my mind, by the way, is I don't know if you guys know the failure rates of that. Kitchen Nightmare, so if you go out 1 year's time and see how many of those restaurants made it, the failure rates are 95%. Just think about that. That's how insane. That means if Gordon Ramsay, the best, most famous chef in the world, arguably anyway, goes to 20 restaurants and gives them his personal touch, 19 of them won't make it because they were struggling before him and they're probably going to be struggling after him. That doesn't mean people can't ever turn it around. But his trying to turn losers into winners is like a losing game in the long run, even for the best chef in the world. So I say that because what happens is a lot of times when I think of marketing, in the beginning, I thought I would have to show up with all the tools. And now I look at it more like if you have the ace of spades, in the king of spades, in the queen of spades, in the 10 of spades, I'm just going to show up with my jack of spades and complete your royal flush kind of thing. And so I say that because depending on the business, most businesses are not optimized to use those followers. Most restaurants wouldn't know what to do. Now, you know, because it's really fucking simple, is just make offers. Especially for a restaurant. Hey, we got a live band today. Hey, we've been cooking steak in the back. Hey, we got an extra order of shrimp, so we're putting on a shrimp special. We got 2-for-1 appetizers. We got happy hour. It's Mother's Day. Come book your Mother's Day. We're having a birthday special. Like, you could come up with endless reasons. But I'll tell you, most of these clients, what they're actually going to struggle with is not getting a following, but knowing what the fuck to do with that following. And so the model you described would work extremely well if you are very selective about who you do it for. And so, like, if I was looking for a restaurant, they would already have to have a promo calendar that they're already executing on it. Then adding followers to them is just like printing fucking money, right? Like, it's just printing fucking money because they already know what to do with the followers when they get them. What most people actually struggle with is the latter, is actually making offers. So chances are you may be able to come up with a system and license it. And what I would be kind of potentially looking at, we're going to be talking more about this in the next couple of weeks. I'm working with Rebecca Duran on this, but is potentially building that system for this restaurant and then licensing it to other restaurants, which is here's the exact ad we used to get followers. Here's the specials you can run. Here's the promos. That's the thing they actually struggle with is, what do I do when I actually get a follower? How do I make offers? What do I post about? These things are usually super obvious to you, but they're not always obvious to those business owners. So to me, if you're going to build the ace of spades, king of spades, queen of spades, jack of spades, if you're going to build a whole system for a client, then I would really, really focus on like being able to build that once so you can use it again and again. Or just run it for people who are already like optimized to do something with it, which will shrink the size of your market, but will dramatically increase the length of your retention. Because instead of saying, well, we got 600 followers, but nobody came into the restaurant, you're gonna what you'll see is like it'll directly translates to sales and leads. It's really simple. Just fucking make offers. I know it sounds like people make it more complicated, but this is the most one-to-one metric for cash collected is, how many offers did you make? How much cash did you collect? If you're making 0 offers, you're probably not collecting a lot of cash, right? And restaurants have this easy because it's super easy to come up with offers. But having said that, I personally would be very particular about who I ran it for, or I would build the system in its entirety and spend all the work and the effort. But at the end of it, you'll own an asset that can be then deployed for other restaurants of a similar nature in other geographies. And then it's so much easier to sell, by the way, when you already have the system set up. It's the difference between, hey, we're going to build you a custom website and, we're going to have back and forth and we'll show you the designs you like and hopefully at the end of it, you'll be happy, versus, hey, I got this system right now that is getting people to come in and eat 2-for-1 chicken wings 3 times a week. All you got to do is say, yes, sign here, here, and here, and I'll have this up and running and you'll start selling chicken wing specials by the end of the evening, right? So that's the power of when you have the asset and it's already done, like the strength of your pitch, the strength of your offer goes up because essentially you're saying it's already done before you start. So hope that's helpful to you, Paul. Anybody else there is like, this is just my personal take, but don't try and be the fucking savior. Find people who are winning and help them win more. I was actually just talking to one of my clients this morning, one of the guys in legal, and just really good dude. And he was talking about like he wants to add like TikTok stuff to some of our retargeting. We're like kind of doing some expansion of a few things, and he's saying, I got an email list and I haven't really done enough. Do you think there's something we could do with that? But this is somebody who's already been winning. Like they already run TV ads, they already run billboards, they already have a conversion machine, they already know how to handle the calls, they already got team, system, staff, process, they know how to onboard people, they know how to hire people, they review all their calls, they have a lot of shit in order, and we're just adding a little piece to it. So anyways, hope that's helpful. Greg says, looking for scripts and rebuttals for local SEO optimization services. All right, Greg. This is going to be a fucking rant. So I'm going to save you some reading, but this book right here says upstream, it says anything you experience in life, especially in business, that is like a repeating problem is happening before the moment of a problem and you're experiencing the symptoms. So they tell a story in the book of two guys, they're sitting by the riverbank, and two little girls go by, and what ends up happening is two guys are sitting on the riverbank. Little girl goes by and she's like, help me, I'm drowning. So they both jump in and go and try and rescue the girl, and they get her out. Another 2 minutes go by. Little girl goes, help me, I'm drowning. They both jump in and they rescue her. Third little girl comes by, help me, I'm drowning. Only one of the guys jumps in to rescue her. Other guy starts walking up the river. And the guy says, where the hell are you going? And he says, I'm going up the river to find out why little girls keep falling in the fucking water, right? So I say this because not enough people understand. I used to try and handle objections with rebuttals and scripts. And I'll tell you the simplest script I used to use. I used to sell Cutco knives when I was 18 years old. And this was their script. Is whatever they tell you, you agree with. You say, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is expensive, Mr. Prospect. And then you say, however, to tell you the truth, you may not have considered this. And you give them an alternative point of view. And you say, what do you think of that? And you get their feedback. And depending on what they say, then you just try and close again. And I'm not saying those scripts don't work. They work. But I would urge you to think about dealing with rebuttals upstream. So I'll give you a real life example of one we used. I want to say like 2016 or so, I got into the legal space, maybe 2017, somewhere in that ballpark. 2016, I think, is probably correct. So when I got into the legal space, I think my first 40 or 50 calls were really frustrating because all the lawyers liked me and it was nice and we had calls, but nobody fucking bought shit. I don't know if you guys ever been through that, but it was like a 6-month period where I had all these productive conversations. Nobody bought my agency service. And what I found is they were very risk averse, lawyers as a bunch. And so they just didn't want to be the first one. So they'd say, hey, can I talk to 2 or 3 other lawyers that are doing this shit? And what would happen is I didn't have 2 or 3 other lawyers to send them to. And so it would just be this circle of going nowhere. Well, I started to say this is a rebuttal of how can I deal with this upstream. So I'll tell you the first change we made. Every time I did a call, even if they didn't buy, I would say, can I get a testimonial from you just about this call? If there's another lawyer thinking about having this call, I would love to know just your experience. Was it safe? Did you get any value out of it? And they would say, oh my God, this call was great. I got a lot of value, blah, blah. And I go, and I would record that. And then I started taking those testimonials and putting them on the thank you page right after they book. So they book, and now all of a sudden they'd see, here's 12 other lawyers who say this is good shit. Then I started to intentionally bring it up because I started having calls. And even though I wasn't closing those calls, I'd say, hey, Dave, you remind me of Andy, who's also a bankruptcy attorney over in Arkansas, and he had really similar problems. But and I'd say, hey, no, please go on. And what would happen is I was preemptively dealing with the have you done this for anyone else by bringing up names and putting on the thank you page. And what happened is when I did that, the objection was just no longer there, and it was just credit cards. Okay, I'd like to get started. So I say that to you because any objection that you're having is not a rebuttal thing. And almost always in SEO, it's because you're selling the thing as the thing instead of selling the outcome. Miro says, okay, sorry, I missed a few comments. Paul says, superb, Frank. Oh, dude. So true about the estate agents. My man. And Miro's, if you're coming to Baja, dude, then we're fucking hanging out. That's just how that is. But let's talk about that details privately, not on the old live. But almost always, so Greg, if you're struggling to sell SEO, you're selling the wrong thing. You're not selling the outcome that they want. And also, I'll tell you a simple kind of trick or hack that you can all use is if you're selling SEO, run an analysis and show them the 2 or 3 people that are well ahead of them in the game. And name them. This is really important because local businesses generally, they know the name of their competitors and they always hate them. So lawyers will say things like, that guy, he's a fucking shitty attorney. How can he be number one? Or general contractors will say, oh my God, they do such shitty work. I've had to go and fix so much of their stuff. How can those guys be number one? But I'll tell you what happens is that the name of that person supplies the emotion that makes the precursor to the sale, because now they're all fired up and they want to do something about it. which they didn't want to be doing something about it before. Exactly. Cole says, fuck that guy. That is very real for local businesses. So if you're selling SEO, one of the most powerful things you can do is run an analysis and just start naming the 2, 3, 4 people that are well ahead of them, and just name drop. And they're like, fucking, I hate that fucking guy. I'm gonna fucking, oh my god, he does shitty work. I want to get that fucking work. He's a terrible fucking dentist. So they will supply the sales power for you, and you'll suddenly, instead of having this logical SEO about how you could have more leads and more sales, 12 months from now, they'll want to do it today just because, like, fuck that guy, as Cole says. Fuck that guy right in his fucking ass. What a piece of shit. So local businesses, by the way, they already know those guys by name, and they all hate them. They just hate their competition in general. So anyway, hope that is helpful, my man, because it's not about, I gave you the script, but think about addressing that upstream and you'll have much better success. So we got Mike. Mike says, question on niche selection. Should we focus on transaction size? For example, an orthodontist may be $5K per customer, but a pool cleaner may be $100 per month per customer. Depending on the retention, the LCV may be similar, but the pool guy 4 years to get there. Is there a threshold for service costs where it no longer makes sense to run Google ads and Facebook? Of course, cost affects it. I'm going to give you a secret. I don't know why enough people don't understand this. There is a spectrum in every single fucking industry. It is not about pool cleaners, this niche versus orthodontist, this niche versus that niche. Do some niches naturally have higher average order values? Of course. But like, I think about a roofer, okay? A roofer sometimes gets called to somebody's house to fix a little leak, and he makes like $100 patching it up. And if you add in the cost of the trucks on the road, the insurance, paying the guys, the fuel, the tools, he don't make any fucking money fixing a $100 leak. That same guy might get booked for a $400,000 commercial roofing job. So your job is not to like find some super secret niche that has money or doesn't have. It's to identify the thing within the niche they really want to sell. I have coaching friends who have $27 courses and $40,000 masterminds. Which one of those do you think they want to sell more of? The $40,000 mastermind, right? And this is true in every industry. So even like, you mentioned a dentist can do like $99 teeth cleanings and $35,000 set of veneers. So I'll tell you a simple example of this. I was having a conversation with an awesome friend of ours in the group here. I don't know if he's watching now, but Larry Weinstein. Larry is one of the few people who's like not an agency in our group, but just consumes marketing stuff because he's a brilliant dude. And Larry is an accountant in Houston. And I remember a conversation we had, I want to say like 2019, 2020, somewhere in that range a couple years ago. And Larry was saying that I really hate tax returns because I don't make any money. They're super stressful. They all come at the same time within like 2 weeks of tax time. He said, I practically sleep under my desk and all that. And then he said, and then we had a conversation like, who do you want? He said, I love working for businesses because I can find like 27 ways to save money. I'm not just bookkeeping. I'm like proactively saving them money. Like I'm an asset to them, not a liability. I save them money, not cost them money as a whole. And he said, it's super easy to do. And it's also not stressful at tax time because I do their books all year round. And so like, I already know what the numbers are. It's just fill in the blanks. Super, super easy. And here's something that obviously Larry gets, but most businesses don't. You can position as the business bookkeeping thing on purpose. Like you don't have to just be, we're an accountant, come one, come all. You can be the I sell $40,000 masterminds, or I do commercial roofs, or I do bookkeeping for businesses and save them $50,000 to $100,000 a year on their taxes. You can do that in any industry. So a lot of times people think, should I do this niche, that niche, and they get hung up taking forever. A better thing to do is pick a niche of people like that you would actually like helping, and then ask the question, who do you most want? What jobs do you wish you had more of? What clients do you wish you had more of? Which, customers do you wish you had more of? Which kind of deals do you wish you had more of? Those kind of questions. And the flip side of that is if you want to know what they don't want more of, just ask them, who do you wish you had less of? So I'll give you an example. In the legal industry, you can get traffic tickets all fucking day long, right? People get pulled over all the time. They need to fight. But like, they don't make any money from that. They pay a paralegal to go to court. And if the ticket's $250, it's not like you're going to pay a lawyer 10 grand. You might pay him 100, 150 bucks kind of thing to fight it and get it reduced and protect your license. And that's what it costs them to pay the paralegal and the filing fees and all that bullshit. So they don't make any money on traffic tickets. You could bring them 10 trillion fucking traffic tickets. They don't make any money. On the flip side of that, you bring them like one trucking accident case, they might make 100 grand off of one fucking client. So your job is not to find some super secret niche where there's like suddenly money. It's to pick a niche of people and identify their most expensive thing. Like even in yoga, you can go for a fucking $39 a month yoga package. You can also go for a $10,000 yoga retreat. Which one should you be helping them sell, right? So I say this because not enough people understand this and they get hung up on like trying to find some super secret niche that has all the money. And it's more just like pick a niche of people you like and figure out the expensive thing they're trying to sell and fucking help them sell it. I know I'm like ranting a little bit here, but I say this because I see people that get hung up for 6 or 12 months trying to find some perfect fucking niche instead of just getting in the trenches and helping them to sell their most expensive thing. And if there isn't a most expensive thing that they're already doing, help them fucking create it. Like if I was doing this in e-commerce and like, let's say I had a friend who's selling coffee. Like how much money do you think they make per order on coffee? Like $5 fucking. And after the cost of Facebook ads and drop shipping and all that, and like all the headaches you have to deal with, not a lot. So I would be the guy who helped them strap on come to our $10,000 Costa Rican coffee retreat and see how coffee is made, harvested in the wild, and you're going to stay in fucking paradise. I would help them build that if it didn't already exist, because if they don't already have an expensive back end, that's your chance to be like in a category of one and fucking make it. So I say that to you guys because like, just so many, I get a lot of, like probably 10, 20% of the people in my world ask me about fucking niches and just get hung up on picking one forever instead of just picking a niche and then choosing the most expensive thing. And you can do that in a day. Even if you don't have any dentists, join a Facebook group of dentists and say, what kind of patients do you wish you had more of? And they'll fucking answer the question and then help them sell that and you'll do so much better. Zach's on. What's up, my dude? Zach says, hey, Frankie, what's up? How would you manage a team of 20 to 30 employees in order to communicate and make everyone go in the same direction? That's usually, I don't know if you saw it earlier, but that's kind of an upstream question. Usually, like if you want to manage a team of people, this is like the download of Frankie Finn. 20 years what I've learned in management. I still don't have it all figured out, especially on the management side. I'm more like, the marketing wizard. That's probably the side I understand better. But like I hang out at the beach and shit gets done, and I ain't the one doing it. So like I have figured out a few things along the way. And here's the deal, okay, with that is I'll tell you how I used to do it and how I do it now, and this will provide some contrast between the two so you can kind of see the difference. And I don't know where our music went. I had some rockin' music here. I say rockin'. We had some handpan music. So here's how I used to do it. In my first agency, by the way, here's how many systems and teams and processes and organization I had. Fucking zero. I scaled faster than I knew what to do with. We actually had a period for probably 6 to 8 months where I added 3 to 5 clients a week, every week, consistently for months and months and months and months and months on end. Until I actually, my white label partner, I was like, dude, you gotta pump the brakes a little bit because I can't even keep up with the fucking orders we got. And so what would happen is every morning, a team of virtual assistants, I had about 35, 40, so it's a little bit bigger than the team you're talking about, but in the same ballpark. And they would come to me every morning and it was like, what do you want me to do today, boss? And it felt like putting out fires. And I would struggle with like delegating and finding work and figuring out what to do. A lot of times just even explaining it, taking 2-3 minutes to explain to somebody what you want them to do today took longer than if you multiply that by like 40 people, right? Like it adds up. That's like a fucking 3-hour job just delegating. And of course they always come back and they have questions. And it was just pure chaos, my first agency. Don't recommend it, but I've done it. So that's the way not to do it. What I do now, and I'm a big believer in systems before people. I still want great people, but I want great systems before people. I'll tell you, if McDonald's was dependent on having a world-class burger chef at every location, how big and successful do you think they would really be? Right? They've got it deduced down, so essentially any pimply-faced fucking 15 or 16-year-old or whatever the legal age to start working is, so any pimply-faced 16-year-old can make a Big Mac, right? It ain't that fucking hard. In fact, I'm pretty sure the machines that cook the burgers, like it has an alarm. It automatically turns off. Like you can't fuck it up, right? And that's because they've spent a lot of time engineering great burger systems, right? So I'm a believer that when you want to bring people in, you need great systems. So how I have it set up now is everything a person wants to do, we have step-by-step documentation for probably, and the best place to start that documentation if you're getting started on it or you don't have it already, is in the 5 to 10 things that are the most repetitive and most move the needle in your business, especially on the fulfillment side. So chances are, if you're like running Facebook ads, you're setting ads, you're monitoring ads, you're launching creatives, you're testing shit. Well, you got a process for each of those things. And having it step-by-step documented will allow you to bring in people. I actually have VAs who run our ads who have never run Facebook ads before. So everybody else tells me I'm looking for a great media buyer. That to me is like, I need a world-class burger chef. But if you already have a great system, you can bring in like unskilled help, and they'll often succeed better than the great media buyer. They'll succeed better than the great burger chef. So I have a couple of things that I do. I have documentation for everything we're going to do. I also have a central location where all communication happens. This is a project management tool. I'm a fan of Asana personally. I'll tell you why I like Asana. It's the least sophisticated of all the software, and that's why I like it. It's just a fucking digital checklist, and you put somebody's name on it, and you say, all right, Zach, this has got to be done by Friday, right? And here are your instructions. And then what happens, by the way, when you have it all in one place, the communication is centralized, but also what happens if one employee leaves? You just like assign the project to someone else. The instructions are already there. The due dates are already there. Like, so employees are almost interchangeable. Not that I suggest you treat people like shit and just like treat them like a name and number, but if somebody goes on vacation for 3 weeks, like you already have the system set up, it's very, very easy to replace it. And then the last piece that I do is there are probably 5 to 10 KPIs, key performance indicators, if you're not familiar with that term, that define what a person is doing, right? So if they're running ads, here's how much we spent, here's how much we're doing. So like, for example, I was just looking at a report over the weekend from my video guy. Well, he tells me how many videos he's done, how many we have in the pipeline, what he still needs from me, and he tracks and monitors all of our subscriber counts and our following, so I can see in real time, this is the growth progress in our subscriber week after week. Here's how many videos we put out. Here's how many things you got done. Here's what's still needed from me. So like, it's just a couple of numbers, but it gets me up to speed really quick. Well, every single employee I have is responsible at the end of the week of making a KPI report and sending it to the boss man. And this is how I'm able to manage people, because I can see, okay, Mark made 10 videos. He still needs my help with these 2 thumbnails. And our subscriber count grew another 20 people this week. Fantastic, right? So I can stay on top of the important things. So those are the 3 things that have really, really helped me. And I guess the last piece is depending on how you get those employees, but like onboard them just like you would onboard clients. Like, and onboarding is just as much about like giving them the tools and the systems to succeed as it is about like, treat them like family. Like, hey, we're so honored to have you. You're part of the team. We really believe that you're going to be a good fit. We really good believe, like, you know, like make people believe that they're, and I would say like believe that yourself. Don't just say it, but like if you can, like start there. But those things have really, really helped me. Is like, you know, everything is just processed, organized into a system, repeated deliverables, KPIs. Super hands-off that way. And this is how I manage also our VAs in our real estate business. It's the same thing, right? Like they just, here's how many offers we made, here's how much, you know, how many deals we closed, this how many contracts we signed, here's what I need from you. I need a decision. This guy wants it for, you know, 275. Can we do 275? Yes or no? Here's the numbers and stuff like that. And it allows me to be able to manage that business in minutes, because I can look at a KPI report and in a snapshot know what's going on and know what's needed, right? And a lot of times they can solve their own problems. But I hope that's helpful, because that's kind of just like my personal playbook is don't manage it by chaos and have 20, 30 people come to you every day. And then if you're looking for like, hey, I just got 20 to 30 people and I need to figure out what to do with them, break it down to systematizing and organizing revenue-producing activities first and foremost. It's like one of the revenue-producing activities for us, you're looking at it. Content. The more we make content, the more people discover us. The more people discover us, the more people buy our shit. So I have a systematic process for content. So I record this, for example. Then I upload the download link, or I copy and paste the download link in Asana. We have a project assigned for weekly Q&A video. I send it off to Mark. He adds in the questions. He does the editing. He posts it. We have a process for the thumbnails on YouTube. We have a process using ChatGPT to create the YouTube descriptions. And he just takes that. And we do that week after week. It's just like, you want to think about, like, managing a team to me is getting it to the point where it is a boring ass factory. Like, in my first agency, it was all drama. It was all like, what do we need today? And I'm sick, and like all that kind of madness. A real business to me is a boring ass factory. Like, when you go to McDonald's, you don't want any curveballs. Just give me a fucking Big Mac. Not that I eat McDonald's. I haven't eaten that shit for like 20 years. But they're a master of systems and processes. And so I think having systems and processes and then bringing in good people to execute them, it's like, it's only going to make the game even stronger. But hope that's helpful to you, my dude. That's just a little bit of a rant. But for those of you guys who are building teams and systems, there's a lot of good stuff in there. This is the last question, unless you guys want to ask something else. So this is if you got anything else, speak now or forever hold your peace kind of deal. We got Brad, who says, have you had success in driving business to your marketing agency with Facebook ads? My niche is home service. So it sounds like you're looking for either one of two scenarios. Either you're looking to use Facebook ads to drive actual clients to like sign up for your agency services in home service, or you're trying to run ads for your home services clients to generate them business. In either case, the answer is yes. You know, whenever people ask me, does this work? Like, does this kind of methodology work? Here's the real truth is, anything you ask, if it works, there's a bunch of people who haven't figured out how to make it work. There's a couple of people doing okay, and then there's some people really crushing it. And there's always a spectrum like that. It doesn't matter whether it's Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO. For every person who doesn't tell me or tells me SEO doesn't work, you know, I got friends who got $50 million SEO agencies, right? And it's always funny to me. People go, SEO doesn't work in this industry anymore. Okay, yeah. They're only doing 50 million just because. Or, you know, somebody will say Facebook ads don't work anymore, and then I know some of the biggest Facebook ads guys who, like, you know, literally generate tens of millions of dollars every month with Facebook ads. So the answer is, does it work? Yes. I'll tell you my experience. Facebook ads. For getting clients, I'll tell you what has worked the best for us over the years. Irresistible offer, some sort of pre-selling piece. I've used different kinds. I've done it with webinars. I've done it with my 5-minute Loom videos. I've done it just with content and things like that. Especially if it's authority-driven content. Like if I publish something in a magazine or did it for one of the industry leaders, I will drive people to that page. But Facebook ad to authority-driven pre-selling content, and then irresistible offer on the other side of that. This is a piece a lot of people miss. A lot of people in our space don't even really have offers. It's just like we do SEO, come hire us for $2,500 a month. That's more like a deliverable with a price on it. That's not really an offer. An offer to me is like, hey, we're going to get you 50, veneer kind of phone calls month after month for $2,500 or whatever. So anyway, I say that because yes, Facebook ads work. I've personally invested, I don't know, a couple $100,000 of my own money in Facebook ads specifically for the purposes of getting clients. I've also spent like millions and millions of client dollars. Probably not as much as I would like to have over the years, but a lot. Like we managed a lot of accounts and spent a lot of money. And I'll tell you, it works at both ends. Now, as far as do Facebook ads work for delivering clients, they do, and it's a little bit of the same thing. I'll tell you, I did a training called Dramatic Demonstrations, and the idea is people have a really hard time understanding a lot of the things we do because they're intangible. And so one of the best things you can do is deduce it down to like a before and after kind of picture, or a picture of either the problem they have or the outcome. And this is the best way I've found to sell home services. If you combine this with reviews, it's basically reviews if you have demonstration, reviews, and irresistible offer, you're going to win. So like say I was trying to sell decks. Like let's take this out of the abstract. I would have an image with a angle through it. On one half it would show before, and it would show old shitty ass deck that looks like shit, and then it would say after, and it would show brand new deck with barbecue and people having a good time, and then it would be a review like Frankie's deck building service crushed it for us. Act now and you can get your own deck for $19.99 summer special, and we'll even stain it and blah blah blah. 48 hours we'll have that baby installed, right? That's it. Steve Harsan, who's a brilliant Facebook ads guys. He sells a lot of solar with Facebook ads, and some of the ads that he's shown me that have generated like hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales of solar, they're 3 sentences long. And the real key is, instead of trying to say, "Hey, we're great," it's a dramatic demonstration. It shows a picture of somebody holding up their old utility bill, saying, "Hey, we used to pay $650 a month in electricity. Here's our bill this month. It's $32." That's it. People are like, shit, I want my utility bill to be $32. So if you can combine dramatic demonstrations into the home services, you're going to sell a lot of stuff. And then if you have reviews, use them, and then come up with a fucking offer, right? Like a lot of times it's like, call for an estimate, but you can take those even further and just say like, we'll build any deck up to this size for, I just said $19.99, like $2,000, because I don't actually know the prices of decks. Ain't got a deck out here, but whatever the actual number should be, put those in. But if you do that, like, you're going to sell a lot of stuff. And I think too many people like make ads complicated. I'll tell you that, like, for years, I tested every single fucking Facebook image that ever came to me, like thousands of ads. I remember like some stupid shit. I had like cats holding briefcases and dogs, and I tried putting it upside down. I tried putting color borders on it. I tried pattern interrupts. Tried videos. I tried this. Tried that. Tried whiteboards. Tried whiteboard animations. Like, we tried a lot of fucking shit over the years. And I'll tell you, the shit that worked the best was just show a picture of the result. And if you got it, a picture of the before after, right? So in home services, before and after pictures just like really are kind of the cheat code. Like if I was doing kitchen remodeling, I'd say, here's old shitty ass kitchen, here's brand new kitchen, before, after. At Frankie's Home Kitchen Services, you can get this now if you get a brand new kitchen for, $15,000 or whatever the actual price is, up to, X and X size, some conditions apply. And call now, and here's a review from Zach who says it's amazing. That would be my whole ad. It'd be like 6 sentences long, but I guarantee you would crush it. Anyways, I hope that's helpful to you guys, because that looks like all the questions we got. Just for those of you guys who missed the intro, I've been making the old wolf pack, trying to make it anyway, the most fucking leveraged agency machine in existence. I'll tell you, like, for me, where this leverage idea came from, I don't know if any of you guys experienced this, but when I went from like 5.5 years ago to no kids to having kids, this is what happened to my schedule. Like, all of a sudden, the amount of time I could get shit done got really, really small. And I had to think crazy levels of efficiency. So sometimes it'd be like, okay, they nap for an hour and a half in the middle of the day. Like, what's everything I can do to move the needle forward in an hour and a half? And sometimes those little fuckers would wake up after 45 minutes, so I wouldn't even get a full hour and a half. So it was a really stressful time, like when my kids were like super young, but it forced me to think in levels of efficiency. And this is what we've got the process down to on the acquisition side, which carries through the entire system, which is, firstly, rather than doing what everybody else says to do, and there's basically, like, if you listen to this agency stuff, like, basically people are pitching two things. Thing number one is digital door knocking, like knock on 1 billion doors and have 1 million fucking meetings and 1 million calls. I think that's crazy inefficient, and I didn't even have fucking time for that shit anyway. And then everybody else is saying, like, run Facebook ads. And I like Facebook ads. I think that's a better model than the first. But there's a lot of downsides to that. Firstly, that it can be very expensive. Like, usually you're going to lose a lot of money before your ads work. And as you like test and try shit out. And also, even when they work, Facebook ads are the opposite of set and forget it. So you're like constantly having to come up with fucking new angles and new hooks and new creatives. Like, your ads can like crush it for 3 weeks and then just fall off a cliff. And then you gotta constantly fucking launch new ads. And I found that like really high maintenance, and we had to have a lot of processes and systems and that. So here's what I've got it down to today is we identify the people in your space who have all the buying audiences already, and we message usually like 1 to 5 of those people a week, and we say, hey, I'd love to do something cool with you. And usually I don't bat 100%, but I bat like 80%, which means if I message 5 people, 4 of them are going to say yes. Like, it's pretty normal. And then what happens is those people, we co-create valuable stuff, and all we do is give away the ideas to whatever you're doing. So if like I sold SEO, I just teach people how to do SEO on their own. And what happened is most plumbers, dentists, doctors, lawyers, whatever, don't want to fucking do that on their own. They'll say, can I just hire you to do it? So you'll directly get business. But the real magic is we are killing 3 birds with 1 stone in that step, because as we co-create content with these people, we're also creating our ads, and we're also creating our nurture follow-up by using video. And I've said this before, but I want digital me to be the hardest working person in the company, and I think digital you can be the hardest working person in your company, which means it's always prospecting, it's always kind of selling your stuff, never takes a day off, 24/7, and that's the real magic of the internet. You do that right. You can build an acquisition machine where you're always in front of audiences, you're always sharing stuff, you're always adding value in your space, and it usually those pieces of content take like 5 to 60 minutes. You're usually just being interviewed by somebody, whether that's a podcast or video interview or whatever, those kind of things. Or you can do, there's written forms of it if you guys don't like talking so much like I do, and things like that. And then what happens is, then clients will sign up with you. We close those clients using a 5-minute video. Like we don't have long drawn out sales calls. We just say, put all the details into a video, check it out. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. If not, that's cool too. And so mostly rejection these days, I just never hear from people. Like they watch our stuff, end up on the video, and just never call us. So there's no like real rejection. There's usually just people saying, I want to get started. How do I get started? And then that carries through where we have like a systematized onboarding process. We have a systematized process for delivering it and fulfilling on it, and also like a systematized way of doing it without meetings where you're updating clients kind of preemptively even before they ask. And that's it. You build that machine, and what happens is you have a massive amount of leverage, which means your agency, for you, makes a lot of cash, but does not require a lot of energy and effort for you to deliver and fulfill on it. In fact, you can completely remove yourself if you'd like to. I still like doing some of the shit. I still like talking to you guys and things like that. So I still do part of it, but not because I have to, because I want to. But for the most part, it's like I said, there's probably other people out there who make more money, but I don't think there's other people who do it with more leverage than we do. And so I really want to show you guys leverage. And leverage to me is really simple. Relative to the energy inputs, the outputs you get. And for me, like, if I can spend 2 hours a week recording some stuff and sharing with people, and then the machine automatically puts me out. And my favorite part of all of that, by the way, is in order to attract more people and like up-level your bank account, like you have to make more offers. If it requires you to distribute them and like knock on doors and things like that, the minute you stop, it'll stop doing it. If you tap into somebody else who already has distribution, already has an audience in space, they'll distribute it for me, or for you. Like you can be on LinkedIn and Twitter and Pinterest and all those fucking places and never once log into them. In fact, like I was looking at some of our stuff shared the other day. I'm like, they're on Twitter. I've never even fucking logged into Twitter, right? Like I'm like, or they're on, TikTok. I don't even know how to fucking use TikTok. Like TikTok to me is just millennials looking at 15-minute ass-shaking videos. TikTok is just something I don't understand, but we're there. We're distributing it, right? So that's the real magic, is people will put it in front of the right people for you, the buyers in your space, because you co-created with people who already have the buyers, right? So I compare this to what most people try and do is they try and create flow from nothing, but what you can actually do is like a sale. You put up a sale and you catch the wind that's already there. There's already a buying audience in your space. There's people buying shit all day long, whether you work with fucking lawyers or e-commerce or online coaches or HVAC, it doesn't really fucking matter. That somebody somewhere is buying some shit, so if you can identify that and tap into it and put your sale up, like you catch the buyer's wind that's already there. And I did this as a little test on about an hour a day for our 90-day challenge, because a lot of you guys just asked me, like, what would you do if you were me and you're starting over? And I decided just to do it and document the process. It took about 25 days, working an hour a day, so 25 hours in total, to amass about like 16 grand in recurring income. Now imagine if you had more time and more consistency than I did. I was just trying to show people how to do it. Like I wasn't actually trying to take it to the moon or whatever. We're actually working on like kind of some investment deals right now that doesn't even make me want to have more agency clients, just being real with you guys. But having said that, I wanted to show you guys how easy it can be if you tap into other people's audiences. Because the minute like somebody publishes your shit and has 10,000 buyers, it's not unusual for 5, 10, 15 people to come out of the woodwork and buy your shit. And if you got a $1,000 to $10,000 a month offer, like how many people do you really fucking need to buy your shit to massively up level? So 5, 10, 15 people come out of the woodwork, shit works. So that's all I got for you guys today in this Facebook Live. Much love for you guys. Appreciate you guys, and may the force be with you. And thank you especially to those of you guys who stuck around till the bitter end. Listen to me this whole way. Guys, if you like this video, you're also going to want to grab some free bonuses, which you can get at our website, Beyond Agency Profits. To make it easy for you, I've put the links to it in the description of this video, as well as pinned in the top comment. And we've got a couple of awesome things. This is what you'll get after you sign up. You get some of our best training, how we're closing clients over Loom videos, how we sometimes sign clients that is not a misprint for under $5 US, how to demonstrate your value in like amazing ways, trainings, how to have your clients write the best copy of your life, how we're closing without phone calls, campaigns that we've generated for clients that have done over $100,000, as well as scripts you can use to get conversations going with clients in under 10 minutes. All you got to simply do is go there, enter your name and email address, and then this is what you'll see on the other side. So if that's interesting to you, make sure to click the links below, and I will see you on the other side.